What is it that dismissive avoidants are actually looking for in a partner, and what makes them fall in love and let down their guard and put down their walls? So in today's video, we are going to cover exactly that. We are going to talk about what really crucial things in a relationship cause a dismissive avoidant to lower their guard enough to actually fall in love. So the first thing you really want to understand is that your dismissive avoidant loved one, it's not like they have this conscious mind experience where they're going, oh, I'm going to express myself, but I decided at the last minute here I don't want to, and let me just keep that down. It doesn't quite feel safe. They don't realize this is happening. This is subconscious. It's out of their conscious mind's awareness. These things are like happening on autopilot without them actually critically thinking about it. Instead, it's just like a response that's taking place without their conscious mind's real input, if anything. And when I go through this video here, it's like, these are things the DA doesn't want you to know, but on one level, if they weren't afraid of being seen and known, and if they weren't afraid of their own vulnerabilities, it would actually be something they would need you to know, because it's something that can be really helpful in a relationship. And on some level, dismissive avoidants long for understanding. They want to be understood and accepted as they are. So anyways, that's almost like bonus number 4. But the first one that's really important to know is dismissive avoidants do have feelings. They do feel a lot. They just don't express their feelings outwardly, and they are likely to repress feelings more. I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of one-to-one conversations with dismissive avoidants for the client practice I ran for the better part of a decade. And in that experience, I saw time and time and time again that a dismissive avoidant was still feeling their fears, feeling sadness, missing a partner, caring about them, feeling love. But it was something that they were afraid to even bring up to the conscious mind surface. And it was something that they were kind of busy trying to stuff down, because just within that feeling or set of feelings, there was also fear associated. And this is what I mean on this channel when I talk about DAs being in their feelings minus their fears. It's like their feelings can kick off their fears. And so they feel what the other attachment styles are feeling. I would say sometimes a slightly more muted response by comparison, like 80% of what an FA tends to feel, because they tend to have their feelings magnified and they really live in those feelings. And same with APs as a general rule. But it's not that DAs don't even have the capacity to feel those things. It's that their automatic coping mechanism is to try to push those things down or to try to avoid them. And so they often live in a state of doing that. Like if you watch a dismissive avoidant closely, they are often escaping into things all the time. And it's not that they're like, so they may escape into their phone, into social media, into text messages, into a TV show, into a video game, into, one thing after another. And it's all basically a self-avoidance mechanism. And they're escaping from their own feelings and emotions. So it's not that those aren't there, it's that they're coping quite consistently and avoiding and trying to repress and compartmentalize. And so they may be a little more skilled at that, perhaps, than other attachment styles when others are triggered, because that's their way of coping, is to push down, not to have that information flow up. But really that secret number 1 is that they feel so much. They have all those feelings there. I know it may seem like they don't from time to time, but that really couldn't be further from the truth. It's just the expression of them, and their coping mechanisms around them are slightly different. Number 2, dismissive avoidants are very, very sensitive to criticism. I've talked about this on this channel before, but the way I like to think of this is an analogy, and I want to really highlight this because of how valuable it is to know this and to really understand it deeply. An analogy would be if I come to you and in your bank account, you have $20 and I say, I need to borrow 15, or I need to borrow 25 and put you in overdraft. That's really scary. That feels a lot worse than if I come to you and say, hey, I need to borrow $25, but you have $10,000 in your bank account, right? There's a big difference. And the way I like to think of the dismissive avoidant when it comes to criticism is it's like their emotional bank account is constantly running on empty. And so when they have something that has a negative response, like criticism, it puts them in overdraft. It's like they're already running on empty so much emotionally, and really trying to repress and disconnect from and avoid so many of their own feelings, that when somebody then comes along, especially in relationships that brings out some sort of negative comment or criticism towards them, it stings so deeply and lands so deeply because they're already not having a lot of nurturing there that they're coming from. So this is really important. And I really want to highlight, and I'm going to make probably a whole separate video about this, but I really can't stress enough that behind every criticism, we just have a need that hasn't been expressed. If you say to somebody, you never do the dishes. Okay, well, you need support around the house. You need somebody to help you do the dishes. If you say to somebody, you never spend time with me. Okay, you need more quality time. Like if you can unpack your own criticisms towards anybody in your life, you'll see that we can actually just flip that and convert that into a need we can express in the positive form. And that's going to go a very, very long way in constructive communication in a relationship. I have a whole course about that, by the way, and how to flip it. And it's got a whole bunch of scripts for communication. You can actually print off the scripts. You can check it out for free for 7 days using the link in the description box below. But with that, you can actually print off this, I think it's 40 or 50 pages, maybe it's 60, but it's just this whole workbook of as an AP, if you're having this issue, here's how to communicate. It gives you all these examples you can just use. And we talk about the different key points to communication. So it's called our communication scripts course inside PDS. And then number 3, another really big thing that's important to know is that dismissive avoidants are afraid to communicate through their words. And on some level, they feel like they can't do it. They feel like, I'm not able to do that. I can't have that conversation. And it's not that they critically analyze it again. It's that subconsciously, they have so many fears tied to communication because they have such a history of being rejected when they did have a need or they did try to communicate in their childhood or upbringing. Let's say, for example, that you come home from school and you had a bad day and you're a little kid and you're like, hey, I had a bad day, or you want to express it. You might have a parent say oh, don't be a baby, get over it. You're going to be fine. Or if you're not feeling well, you might have a parent that's just hey, get over it. We all get sick sometimes. And it's there's just this inherent when you want to reach out for support, for love, for connection, for your needs to be met, there's enough consistent rejection in some form or even shaming or neglect that you just learn okay, I can't get my needs met from other people. It won't work. So you have this automatic subconscious block that comes up. So when you want to communicate through words or want to do these different things, the DA's it's they have this need to do it. And right away, as soon as that need is triggered, it's that those stored associations emotionally are then triggered next to it that say, no, we can't do that. No, that's bad. And then we push it back down. And so this can be something that a DA longs to do. They want to be understood. They want somebody to kind of understand their inside world, but it just feels like it's not possible. And those subconscious barriers and blocks are really what are there blocking them. And on that side note, just for a brief moment here, I do want to let you know, just for this month, we are offering a 7-day free trial to all the courses at the Personal Development School where you can actually dive into your needs and communicating. And in the meantime, if you take that 7-day free trial, you get to keep our attachment styles and sex course for life. It's all about each attachment style's patterns around sex, intimacy, closeness, the things that cause them to want to run away, the things that draw them closer. And I'm hopeful it will be a really supportive resource for you. It's an over $200 value and you get to keep it for life. Plus check out all of our courses in the meantime. So anyways, I hope this makes sense. 3 big secrets. They might really empower your relationship, especially if you have conversations about these things with a dismissive avoidant loved one, or if you are a DA listening to this, to really help you dig into some of that understanding of your own subconscious mind and what might be going on some level as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you enjoy this content, and I will see you in the next video.